Namaste. Periva Sharanam. Need and necessity for temples. India is considered a relatively poor country, but in ancient times, these poor people united and constructed the big temples and tall towers which we find today in every village or town. The economic setup in those days was very different. The people had lesser wants. The surplus produces were utilized to build the mighty and big buildings which were used by the people for spiritual purposes. The buildings were handed over to the workers who built them. But in the modern days, social service has acquired a different model and dimension. To drive away poverty, disease and ignorance, people on a cooperative basis unite and construct schools, build hospitals and start banks. But these forms of social service have not been so fruitful as may be desired. Bribery and falsehood have not been successfully wiped out by education. Contrary to this, we find that the aborigines and hill tribes, though not educated, are more straightforward and honest. The confidence of curing diseases with treatment in hospitals make men behave very bad. The number of banks started have not removed poverty from people and the society. We increase our wants and always remain dissatisfied and live with discontentment. We can have real happiness only in a simple living. There are many society temples in our country. Take for example the temple at Avudayar Kovil. Daily a large quantity of rice is cooked and offered as Naivedyam to the god and goddesses. Then that cooked rice is sold to all people at reasonable reduced price. Most temples have festivals and observe special celebrations simply to foster a social sense among the people. On those days, the food items offered as Naivedyanam are sold to people who need them. It is a must that we show gratitude and say thanks for any services received. It is a very good trait. The taxes we pay to the government and the cess we remit to the corporation are the same. They are our thanksgiving to them for the services that they render to us. Likewise, there are some agencies which do good to the people. They are invisible. As stipulated in the Vedas, people should offer their thanks and show gratitude to the invisible agencies that do good to them. Such thanks are called yajna. It is true that in present day setup of the society, schools, hospitals and banks are very essential. But the objectives of these social institutions cannot be fully achieved without devotion to God or bhakti. Having a deep-rooted and unflinching faith and acquiring a spirit of toleration towards others is the panacea for all miseries of mankind. Devotion to God and bhakti alone can give us such a spirit and power of toleration. The temples are the agencies which foster and develop such bhakti. The makings of offerings and Naivedyanams to the deities in the temples is a way of showing our gratitude to the supreme power which has created and given all the things to us for our enjoyment. A man cannot make or create even a single blade of grass. Hence, it is imperative and mandatory that we first offer to the gods whatever we eat or what we wear. We must offer to the gods only the best. To have things without making an offering to God is a sign of ingratitude and ungratefulness. It is not given or possible to all to do pujas at home and show gratitude to God. So it is that temples are essential and necessary for man's wholesome life. The temples thus serve a social purpose. Periva Sharanam.